The mysterious whisper of the quantum signal. Have you ever felt a quiet shiver of recognition when something in your life seemed to line up with impossible precision? Perhaps a friend called just as you were thinking of them, or a long-forgotten song played at the very moment you needed its memory. These small coincidences often arrive like whispers, gentle and fleeting, yet they carry a weight that feels larger than chance. It is in these subtle moments that many people sense what some call the quantum signal, a delicate vibration beneath the surface of reality, inviting us to listen. Picture the universe not as a collection of separate things, but as a living field of possibilities, always moving and shimmering with unseen potential. Ancient seers spoke of an eternal hum, a music of the spheres, where every star, every breath, and every heartbeat is part of a single, infinite rhythm. Thousands of years later, modern quantum thinkers describe a world that is strikingly similar to one where particles appear to respond to observation itself, where the act of noticing can alter what is real. Different languages, different times, yet both hint at the same mystery. Reality is not silent. This whisper, this subtle signal, rarely announces itself with fanfare. Instead, it drifts into our awareness like the faint scent of rain before a storm, something you feel before you can name. It might appear as a series of numbers repeating in unexpected places, or the sudden meeting of a stranger who seems to carry an answer you hadn't even voiced. These are not simply accidents. They are like the soft knock of the universe, nudging you to realize you are part of a much greater design. Imagine reality as an endless ocean of possibilities, and each thought, each intention is a ripple spreading across its surface. Most of the time, we are so caught in the noise of daily life that these ripples pass unnoticed. Yet, when the mind slows late at night in meditation, or in the quiet moments between waking and sleep, we begin to sense the gentle tug of that ocean beneath us. It is here, in the stillness, that the quantum signal can be felt, a vibration so subtle it almost seems to belong to another dimension. Yet, it is woven through everything you know. Consider how a single pebble can set off rings across a still pond. Quantum physics reveals that particles behave in much the same way, their presence rippling across space and time. Ancient wisdom called it the breath of creation. Modern science calls it the field of potential. Two paths, one truth. There is a pattern that binds the seen and the unseen. And when you pause long enough to notice, you begin to sense that you are part of this pattern. The quantum signal does not speak in words or images. It speaks in resonance. Moments when your inner world and the outer world suddenly harmonize. The call of a bird, just as you form a question in your mind. the sudden clarity that arrives in a dream, the perfect timing of events you could never have planned. These moments carry a gentle charge, a feeling that something just beyond the edges of reason is at play. You may wonder if these experiences are simply coincidence, but consider how, in quantum experiments, the very act of observing a particle changes its behavior. Reality itself is responsive. If the universe can shift under the gaze of a single observer, could it not also whisper back when we pay attention with wonder? The signal is not proof in the traditional sense. It is an invitation to engage with life as if it is alive and listening. Allow yourself to imagine that your thoughts and feelings are like tuning forks. When you rest in stillness, your inner vibration begins to match the quiet hum of creation. This alignment doesn't require effort. It requires presence. It's like adjusting the dial on an old radio until the static clears and a faint melody emerges. At first, the signal was fragile, just a hint. But as you keep listening, it grows clearer, not because the universe is louder, but because you are more attuned. Throughout history, mystics, poets, and now physicists have pointed toward this subtle dance. They remind us that life is not a series of random events, but a living conversation. Every synchronicity is a sentence, every coincidence a comma in the dialogue between you and the cosmos. To notice is to participate, for you to lean in. And so the journey begins with something simple: awareness. Awareness of the tiny moments when reality seems to wink, when the pattern of your days reveals a hidden thread. The quantum signal is not a riddle to be solved. It is a relationship to be felt. When you honor these subtle vibrations, life responds with even greater clarity, weaving meaning into places you once thought were silent. As you settle into this realization, a new question naturally arises. If such a signal exists, what wisdom, both ancient and scientific, can help us understand it more deeply? The next step is to explore the teachings and discoveries that have quietly mapped this mysterious terrain, revealing how both timeless spiritual traditions and cutting-edge science converge on the idea of a universe alive with hidden messages. Ancient wisdom meets quantum science long before the first particle accelerator ever hummed to life. Sages across ancient civilizations whispered about a reality beyond the grasp of ordinary senses. The Vedic seers of India spoke of a boundless field from which all creation arises, a formless ocean of potential that gives birth to the tangible world. Taoist masters described the Tao as the unnameable source, the invisible thread weaving all things into one. Mystics in deserts and mountaintops across the globe echoed the same truth. That beneath the surface of separateness lies an undivided whole. These teachings, spoken in poetry and metaphor, carried an invitation to look inward and discover a unity that defies the limits of language. Centuries later, modern science would build machines of unimaginable precision to peer into the smallest building blocks of matter. Physicists, expecting a tidy universe of predictable particles. At the subatomic level, matter refuses to stay put. Particles flicker between existence and possibility, and their behavior shifts depending on whether someone is watching. What these discoveries revealed was not merely a collection of tiny objects, but a vast field of potential, a quantum realm that seems to echo the timeless descriptions of the mystics. Consider the phenomenon known as quantum entanglement. 2. Particles, once connected, can become so deeply linked that even when separated by galaxies, a change in one instantly influences the other. Einstein called it spooky action at a distance, but to the Vedic sages, it might have sounded familiar. For thousands of years, they spoke of a single cosmic fabric where the dance of one being touches the whole. Taoist philosophy describes this as the flow of the Tao, an unbroken movement that connects every leaf, every star, and every heartbeat. Modern physics, with its equations and experiments, is now uncovering a truth these ancient teachers held close. That separation is, at its heart, an illusion. The observer effect deepens the mystery. In experiments like the famous double-slit test, particles behave like waves of pure potential until someone measures them. The very act of observation seems to crystallize possibility into reality. To ancient mystics, this would not be surprising. They long taught that consciousness is not a mere byproduct of the material world, but a fundamental force. The Upanishads speak of the Atman, the witnessing self, as the silent presence through which reality unfolds. Taoist writings call it the still point, the emptiness that gives birth to form. What science now glimpses through mathematics and delicate instruments, these traditions explored through meditation and inner vision. It is tempting to think of these parallels as coincidence. After all, the language of a modern physicist and that of an ancient sage could hardly be more different. One speaks in symbols and equations, the other in parables and poetry. Yet, when you listen closely, both are pointing toward a reality that cannot be fully captured by words. Both reveal a universe where everything is connected, where the act of perception shapes what is perceived, and where the boundary between mind and matter is far less solid than we once believed. Imagine for a moment that you are standing on a quiet shoreline at dawn. The waves are endless, each one unique, yet every crest is part of the same vast ocean. This is how the ancient teachers described the existence of a single field expressing itself in countless forms. Now, picture the quantum field, an invisible sea of energy where particles emerge like ripples on water, only to dissolve back into possibility. The metaphor is strikingly similar. Two paths, one of intuition and the other of scientific inquiry, converge upon the same horizon, a universe alive with unseen unity. These connections invite more than intellectual curiosity. They stir something deeper. If consciousness plays a role in shaping reality, then our thoughts and awareness are not passive bystanders. They are participants in the unfolding story of the cosmos. The mystics knew this, urging seekers to cultivate presence, to witness life with open eyes and an open heart. Quantum science, in its own way, hints at the same. That the universe responds to the act of observation. That we are woven into the fabric of creation in ways both subtle and profound. When we allow these two streams of wisdom to meet, something remarkable happens. The ancient voice and the modern voice do not compete, they harmonize. Science gives us tools to measure and test, while spirituality offers a language of meaning and experience. Together, they reveal a reality that is both intricate and intimate, a cosmos where matter and mind are threads of the same luminous tapestry. To see this is to feel a quiet wonder, a recognition that the truth we seek has been whispered across ages, awaiting our discovery. Ancient wisdom of transformation. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine standing at the edge of time itself. Before there were laboratories or telescopes, before equations or particle accelerators, there were human beings gazing at the same sky you see tonight and asking the very questions that stir in you now. Who are we? What is real? And can the world around us be shaped by the quiet power within? Long before modern science spoke of energy fields and quantum potential, the ancient seers of India described Atman, the unchanging self that exists beyond birth and death. To them, Atman was not an idea to debate, but a living truth to be experienced. Through stillness and mantra, they discovered a presence beyond thought, a silent witness that is both deeply personal and boundless. The sages whispered that when you touch this inner reality, the outer world responds like a lake reflecting the moon far to the west. Egyptian mystics and Greek philosophers recorded their own revelation in the Hermetic phrase, as above, so below. They sensed that the patterns of the heavens echoed in the smallest details of life, that the grand and the minute were woven from the same living fabric. To contemplate, this was to glimpse a universe without. Hard edges were the movements of the stars, and the stirrings of the human heart were reflections of one great rhythm. Shamans of the Americas carried the same torch in a different language. For them, every stone and river held spirit. Reality itself was a conversation, and the dreamer's vision could ripple outward to guide the tribe. When they journeyed in trance or sang their medicine songs, they were not escaping the world, but tuning to the deeper field that underlies it. Their rituals were a way to speak with the invisible currents, shaping everyday life. The Chinese sages of the Tao looked not for control, but for harmony. And they recognized a principle beyond names, the Tao, the way of all things. To live in tune with it was to move as nature moves, effortlessly, yet with unshakable power. Their wisdom still whispers that transformation is not forced. It unfolds when we remember we are already part of the flow. Travel across these cultures, and you begin to hear a single melody beneath the many voices. The Vedic seers spoke of the self beyond form, the Hermetic philosophers of the mirror between worlds, the shamans of the living spirit, the Taoists of the way that cannot be grasped. Different words, different landscapes, yet each points to a truth, both startling and simple. The boundaries we cling to are illusions, and consciousness is the bridge between the unseen and the seen. Modern science, with its equations and experiments, is now brushing against the same mystery. Quantum researchers speak of particles existing in superposition until observed, of reality shimmering with potential until consciousness gives it shape. The language is new, but the wonder is old. It is as if the universe has been waiting for us to remember what our ancestors never forgot. That the observer and the observed are not separate, and that awareness itself carries the power to transform. Consider what this means for you. The sages would say, you are not merely a traveler in a fixed world. You are a co-creator in an unfolding dream. Every thought, every quiet intention, every breath of belief is a ripple in the field. The old you, the one defined by history, by labels, by the limits others placed upon you, was always a mask. Beneath it lies the same luminous essence that shamans sang to and mystics named as divine. This recognition does not shout. It arises like dawn, soft and inevitable. The map of transformation left by those who came before is not a set of rules, but an invitation. Mantra or follow every ritual. Simply remembering that your awareness and the universe are entwined is enough to begin the journey. And as you let that truth settle, notice the subtle shift inside a quiet opening, as though something ancient in you is stirring awake. The wisdom of transformation is not locked in distant temples or hidden scrolls. It is alive in the very moment you realize the world is as fluid as your own consciousness as we move forward. Keep this gentle realization close. The same force that breathed the stars into being flows through you even now. It is the thread that links every tradition, every seeker, every moment of awakening. In the next part of our journey, we'll follow that thread into a deeper understanding of how this timeless knowing can illuminate the path that lies ahead. Recognizing the first hints of the quantum signal, imagine sitting quietly, perhaps late at night, when the house has settled into its own hush. In that delicate stillness, a thought drifts in so gentle you almost miss it. It isn't loud or demanding, but it carries a spark of clarity like a tiny lantern in the dark. This is often how the quantum signal first reaches you. Not as a dramatic announcement, but as a quiet invitation to listen. The signal can appear as a subtle tug in your awareness, something that feels both familiar and mysterious. Perhaps you suddenly recall a friend you haven't spoken to in years, and moments later they send you a message. Or you're thinking about a particular book and it falls off a shelf when you pass by. These are not coincidences in the ordinary sense. They are gentle echoes, subtle patterns forming in the fabric of your daily life. Ancient traditions speak of this phenomenon as the still small voice, a whisper that lives beneath the noise of ordinary thought. Modern science might describe it as a shift in vibration or the emergence of a new frequency that resonates with your own. While the language differs, the experience remains the same. A sense that something larger than yourself is brushing against the edges of your perception. When you are practicing mindfulness or meditation, you are tuning your inner instrument. Your mind becomes like a finely crafted violin, capable of sensing even the faintest vibrations. At first, the resonance may be almost imperceptible, like the distant hum of a star. Yet, with each moment of quiet attention, you grow more sensitive to its presence. It is not about forcing awareness. It is about relaxing into it, allowing subtle impressions to rise without judgment. These first hints often arrive in the spaces between thoughts. You might be walking through a park when the rustle of leaves seems to carry a message you can't quite translate. Or you may find yourself pausing mid-task, struck by a sudden feeling of rightness or a gentle urge to change course. These are the breadcrumbs of synchronicity, each one inviting you to follow. It helps to approach these moments with playful curiosity rather than urgency. Think of yourself as a naturalist exploring a new forest, noticing the smallest signs of life. When a meaningful coincidence occurs, instead of rushing to label it or prove it, simply observe. Let it be what it is, a quiet wink from the quantum field, a subtle signal of alignment. As your sensitivity deepens, you may notice patterns weaving through your days, numbers repeating on clocks, phrases echoing in conversations, or the same symbol appearing in unexpected places. These are not random decorations on life's surface. They are indicators that your inner world and the greater field of consciousness are beginning to dance in rhythm. Sometimes the signal comes as a sudden clarity. A decision that once felt tangled, now unfolding with ease. You might awaken with a solution to a problem that had resisted every effort, or feel a calm certainty about a choice that once seemed impossible. This clarity is not forced. It blooms naturally, like a flower opening to morning light. The quantum signal is not a voice separate from you. It is the deeper intelligence of your own being, the part of you already connected to everything. By cultivating mindfulness, you are simply tuning the dial to hear what has always been playing. The more you practice, the more these subtle transmissions reveal themselves, like stars appearing one by one as twilight deepens. Remember, the first hints are meant to be gentle. They are invitations, not conclusions. If you find yourself doubting, that is part of the dance. Doubt sharpens attention. Curiosity keeps the channel open. Allow each small synchronicity to be a stepping stone, a quiet affirmation that you are listening well with each noticed whisper. Each meaningful coincidence, the signal grows more vivid, not louder, but clearer. And as your awareness expands, you will begin to recognize when synchronicities are no longer occasional visitors, but steady companions. This gentle awareness leads naturally to the heart of the experience. The moment when these signals begin to multiply and the quantum field reveals its fuller conversation with you. When synchronicities begin to multiply, often begins as a quiet ripple in the rhythm of your day's small, almost unnoticeable moments that tug at the edge of awareness. You might glance at the clock and see the same numbers repeating, or think of an old friend just before a message from them arrives. At first it feels like coincidence, the kind you might brush off with a smile. But then it happens again, and again, until the pattern starts to feel less like chance and more like a gentle whisper from something unseen. These moments carry a peculiar weight, as though reality itself leans in to acknowledge you. A random song on the radio mirrors the very thought you just had. A stranger's casual remark echoes the exact phrase that lingered in your mind that morning. It is as if the universe is quietly rearranging itself, sending you subtle signals that your inner world and the outer world are beginning to move in rhythm. Each occurrence stirs a soft curiosity. What if these events are not accidents at all? Imagine consciousness as a vast ocean, and each thought as a single drop, sending ripples across its surface. When you become more aware, when your thoughts, feelings, and intentions settle into clarity, those ripples begin to resonate more distinctly. The quantum field, the mysterious backdrop of all existence, responds like a tuning fork to the vibration of that clarity. Synchronicities become the visible waves that arise when your inner frequency finds harmony with that infinite sea. They are the footprints of alignment, the outward signs that something inside you has clicked into place. Consider the way a dream can spill into waking life. Perhaps you dream of a specific symbol, a white feather, a particular phrase, and the next day you find it waiting for you in the world. The mind may want to call it coincidence, yet deep down you feel the quiet thrill of recognition. It is the same sensation a traveler feels when a faraway path suddenly feels familiar. These encounters invite you to pause, to listen, to wonder. If consciousness is more expansive and connected than you once believed, you may notice that synchronicities often appear at times of personal shift moments when you are questioning, growing, or seeking a new direction. They arrive not as loud announcements, but as soft nudges guiding you forward. The chance meeting with someone who holds the missing piece of your plan. The perfectly timed book that answers the question you barely dared to ask. These are not random accidents. They are mirrors reflecting the quiet evolution of your inner life. To understand their nature is not to pin them down with strict logic. Rather, it is to feel the resonance they awaken. Quantum physics suggests that the observer plays a role in shaping reality. And in the same way, your attention acts as a bridge. The more you notice these subtle alignments, the more frequently they seem to appear. Awareness feeds the pattern, not because you force it, but because reality and consciousness are in a dance of recognition. It can feel like standing at the edge of a grand conversation where words are unnecessary. Life speaks through symbols, timing, and delicate coincidences. A single moment of perfect alignment can dissolve the boundary between what you once called inside and outside. You begin to sense that the world is not merely happening to you. It is happening with you, responding to the quiet music of your thoughts and tensions. Yet, there is a gentle wisdom in staying grounded as the magic unfolds. These signs are not demands, nor are they predictions to be decoded like puzzles. They are invitations to trust the flow, to notice how your own clarity shapes the fabric of events. When you meet these moments with openness, instead of grasping, they become companions on your path. Reminders that the same intelligence weaving galaxies is also weaving the details of your life. As synchronicities multiply, they invite you to move from passive observer to conscious participant. You are not chasing coincidences. You are learning to live in dialogue with the universe. The more you rest in this awareness, the more you realize that life is reflecting your own expanding consciousness back to you, like a mirror shimmering with infinite possibility. And from this place of wonder, you are naturally drawn to the next unfolding, discovering how inner alignment amplifies the signal even further. The inner frequency. Aligning mind and heart, imagine for a moment that you are a living instrument. Every thought is a string, every emotion a gentle vibration. When these strings are loose or out of tune, the melody of life feels scattered and uncertain. But when you pause and truly listen, you can hear the quiet music of your own inner frequency. This is more than poetic. It is the subtle energy that connects your mind and heart to the vast quantum field. Tonight, as you settle into this journey, let yourself drift into that harmony. It flows and shifts with every feeling and thought. Picture the heart as a steady drum, its rhythm ancient and wise, while the mind dances like a violin, agile and quick. When the mind races without rhythm, the melody falters. But when the heart and mind move together, a deeper resonance emerges, one that echoes beyond the body. Scientists call it coherence, but you might simply feel it as peace, a quiet certainty that you are connected to something greater than yourself. To step into this state of coherence, begin by noticing your breath. The inhale and exhale are like gentle waves washing away the static of scattered thoughts. With each slow breath, imagine the mind's chatter softening, like a violinist easing the bow to match the heartbeat's steady drum. This is the first movement in the symphony of alignment, an effortless merging of rhythm and stillness. Gratitude acts as the tuning fork for this inner orchestra. When you call to mind even the simplest blessings, the softness of the night air, the beating of your own heart, you invite every string to tighten and hum in unison. Gratitude is not forced. It is a natural remembering of what is already good. In that remembering, the noise of fear or doubt loses its grip. You begin to feel a subtle shift, like a room filled with golden light dot. As the heart opens through gratitude, the mind follows, not as a servant, but as a partner. Thoughts become clearer, softer, more patient. The usual rush of planning and proving quiets replaced by a calm knowing. This is where the quantum field responds, not to frantic effort, but to the purity of your inner tone. Your desires, once clouded by worry, now resonate like clear, notes in the universe's grand composition. This alignment is not about denying emotion or chasing only pleasant feelings. It is about allowing every note of joy, sorrow, curiosity to find its rightful place in the music. Even dissonance can become beautiful when met with acceptance. By breathing and observing without judgment, you become the conductor, guiding the mind and heart into a shared rhythm. And in that rhythm, the unseen realm listens and responds. Imagine now a gentle current of light moving through you. From the center of your chest to the quiet space behind your forehead. It is not something you must create. It is already there, waiting for your awareness. This is the subtle bridge between thought and feeling, a luminous thread that carries your intentions outward. The more you rest in this awareness, the stronger the bridge becomes, until it feels like a natural extension of your being. As your mind and heart unite, synchronicities begin to emerge with effortless grace. A conversation you need to hear arrives at the perfect moment. A door you never noticed swings open without force. These are not coincidences, but the natural reflections of an inner harmony made visible. When your frequency is tuned, the universe responds in kind, like a choir joining your song. Take another slow breath and notice the spaciousness within you. The worries that once clung tightly have loosened as if they were never truly yours. You are simply here, breathing, listening, aligned. This is the quiet power of coherence. Not a dramatic revelation, but a gentle certainty that your inner music is part of something infinite. With this alignment, manifestation is no longer a struggle or a distant goal. It becomes the natural outpouring of a balanced frequency. The way a well-tuned instrument effortlessly fills a room with sound. You have not forced the melody, you have become it. And now, with mind and heart moving as one, you are ready to step into the next chapter where the seeds of intention blossom effortlessly into reality. Manifestation through the quantum lens. Imagine for a moment that every thought you have is like a subtle ripple moving through an infinite ocean. This ocean is not made of water, but of possibilities. A vast field of potential that physicists call the quantum field. Here, particles do not behave like fixed bits of matter. Instead, they hover in a state of pure possibility, waiting for something, a signal, an observation, an intention to nudge them into becoming something tangible. When you hear people talk about manifestation, this is the hidden landscape they are unknowingly touching. For many, the word manifestation carries the scent of wishful thinking, like daydreaming about a better life without taking action. But when we look through the lens of quantum science, the picture becomes far more grounded and fascinating. Quantum physics tells us that at the subatomic level, matter exists as a wave of probabilities. It is neither here nor there until an observer, through the simple act of noticing, collapses that probability into reality. What if your focused intention works in a similar way? What if, just as an observer brings a particle into form, a mind holding a clear vision invites reality to shape itself accordingly? Consider this: every invention, every piece of music, every work of art began as an invisible idea. Long before the first note was played or the first brushstroke laid on canvas, there was a mental image, a seed held in someone's awareness. This is not merely poetic. Neuroscientists have discovered that when we imagine something vividly, the brain lights up as though the experience were already real. The body responds, creating hormonal shifts, electrical patterns, and subtle energy signals that ripple outward. Intention, then, is not just a thought. It is a vibration that interacts with a fabric of reality. Ancient wisdom has whispered this truth for centuries. The Hindu sages spoke of Maya, the world, as a dynamic dance of energy shaped by consciousness. Indigenous elders told stories of dreamtime, where thought and spirit weaved the physical world. Even the parables of Jesus hint at this quantum principle: ask, and it shall be given. These teachings, separated by oceans and eras, converge on a single insight: that human awareness is a creative force, not a passive witness. To make this idea more tangible, picture the quantum field as a cosmic canvas. Your focused thoughts are like the artist's brush, each stroke influencing what takes shape. When your intentions are scattered, when doubts, fears, and conflicting desires swirl, the canvas receives mixed signals. The result is a blurred picture, outcomes that feel random. But when your mind and heart align, when clarity, emotion, and belief move in harmony, your signal strengthens. The universe responds, not as a genie granting wishes, but as a natural consequence of coherent energy finding its match. Real-life stories echo this pattern. Think of the athlete who visualizes crossing the finish line long before the race, training not just the body, but the mind to expect victory. Or the entrepreneur who, after months of focused preparation and unwavering belief, suddenly encounters the right partner or opportunity in what seems like pure coincidence. They are examples of resonance, of inner intention, aligning with outer possibility. Yet manifestation through the quantum lens is not about forcing outcomes or clinging to desire. It is a practice of tuning yourself to the frequency of what you seek. Just as a radio must be set to the right station to hear the music clearly, your thoughts, emotions, and actions must be tuned to the reality you wish to experience. gratitude. Presence and self-awareness act like fine adjustments on the dial, clarifying your signal. When you feel appreciation for what already exists, you match the vibration of abundance. When you act as if your dream is already unfolding, you invite the field to mirror that state back to you. Skeptics may ask whether this is merely coincidence or confirmation bias. And while science has not yet packaged consciousness into equations, experiments like the double-slit study continue to reveal a universe responsive to observation. The line between the inner world of thought and the outer world of matter is not as solid as once believed. This does not mean that every fleeting wish instantly materializes. It means that focused awareness is not powerless. It is an active participant in shaping reality. As you reflect on this, notice how the ancient and the modern begin to overlap. Quantum physics gives language to what sages have known intuitively, that the mind and the universe are not separate. Your thoughts are not empty. They are sparks of creation. To manifest is not to demand, but to align, to bring your inner world into resonance with the vast field of potential that is always listening. And so, manifestation ceases to be a mystical trick. It becomes an art of coherence, a partnership between your focused intention and the universe's infinite possibilities. When you embrace this perspective, manifestation transforms from wishful thinking into a natural rhythm of existence, one where thought and reality meet in a dance as old as time. Now that you have glimpsed how manifestation arises from the quantum field, the journey deepens. For the wisdom of ancient traditions offers not only poetic imagery, but practical guidance on how to live this truth. It is to those timeless teachings that we now turn, discovering how the echoes of the past can illuminate the path of creation today. Echoes of ancient mystics across centuries and continents. The quiet voices of ancient mystics have whispered of realms that lie beyond the grasp of our senses. Their words, etched into sacred texts and passed down through living traditions, invite us into a dimension that modern science is only beginning to describe. They speak of a reality both vast and intimate, a presence that underlies the dance of matter and the unfolding of every moment. As we listen, we discover that these echoes are not mere relics of the past. They are living bridges to a truth that feels at once eternal and freshly revealed in the Indian subcontinent. The sages of the Upanishad spoke of Brahman, the ultimate unity that pulses beneath all forms. They described it not as an object to be seen, but as the very essence of seeing itself as an infinite consciousness from which every spark of existence arises. They compared the human soul to a drop of water drawn from an endless ocean, distinct, yet never separate. This vision resonates today with a startling clarity. When physicists describe the universe as a single quantum field, vibrating with unseen energy, we hear the ancient refrain, "All is one, and within that oneness we belong." Travel east to the valleys of ancient China, and the Tao Te Ching whispers its own timeless counsel. The Tao, the way, is the hidden stream that flows through all things. It cannot be captured in words or bound by definitions. Yet it gives birth to the 10,000 forms of life. Laozi spoke of living in harmony with this flow, of moving like water, soft yet unstoppable, humble yet powerful. In a world where quantum particles flicker in and out of existence, the Tao's gentle reminder feels uncannily modern. Reality is not a fixed machine, but a living process, ever becoming. Far to the west, in the secret gatherings of early Gnostics, seekers spoke of a divine spark buried within each human heart. They believed this inner light was a fragment of a greater fullness, a reminder of a home beyond the material world. For them, salvation was not found in distant heavens, but in awakening to the brilliance already inside. Today, as neuroscientists explore the mysteries of consciousness and physicists ponder the role of the observer, the Gnostic vision finds a new echo, that the universe awakens through our awareness, and that the light we seek may be the very light by which we look taught in the desert hermitages of the early Christian mystics. Silence became a language of its own. Figures like the desert fathers and mothers withdrew from the noise of society to listen for a still, small voice. They discovered that beyond the turbulence of thought and the ache of longing lies a peace beyond understanding. Their prayers were not pleas to a distant deity, but quiet recognitions of a presence already near. When we hear of quantum entanglement, particles linked across unimaginable distances, we cannot help but feel a subtle kinship with their insight. That separateness is an illusion, and presence is everywhere. The Sufi poets of Persia, like Rumi and Hafez, sang of a love so boundless that it shattered the walls of identity. For them, the beloved was both the source and the destination, the heart of every atom and the rhythm of every breath. Their verses swirl with the same mystery that quantum theory now unveils, that the universe is a dance of relationship, and that love, not logic alone, may be the deepest pattern of reality. In their ecstatic language, we hear an ancient recognition that what we seek is already seeking us, drawing us ever closer to the truth of our own boundless nature. The echoes of these mystics, Indian sages, Chinese philosophers, Gnostic seekers, Christian hermits, Sufi poets do not merely repeat old tales. They vibrate with a fresh resonance, reminding us that the hidden dimension is not locked in the past. Modern science, with its revelations of quantum fields and entangled particles, does not replace their wisdom. It amplifies it. The observer effect in physics, where the act of attention influences reality, mirrors their ancient insistence that awareness itself is creative. The lines between science and spirituality blur, revealing a single, luminous thread that winds through both as we breathe in their words. We sense that these ancient insights were never meant for dusty libraries or distant altars. They were given as invitations, a call to recognize the eternal within the ordinary. Every rustling leaf, every heartbeat, every moment of quiet wonder is a doorway to the same vast presence they sought to name. Their voices guide us not to worship the past, but to awaken in the present, where the timeless and the modern converge. And so the wisdom of the ancients lingers like the final notes of a song that never ends. Their vision of unity and hidden light continues to stir our own quiet knowing. With these echoes in our hearts, we turn inward, ready to explore how such timeless truths can guide our own daily lives. The path ahead is not about distant mysteries, but about finding the infinite in each breath we take. With the wisdom of the ancients still resonating, we step gently toward the next chapter, discovering practical ways to remain attuned to this ever-present wonder daily. Practices to stay tuned to the signaling, the quiet space between waking and the first ripple of daily noise lies a moment of pure possibility. It is here, in the hush before the world fully stirs, that the signal, the subtle hum of a universe alive with synchronicities, speaks the clearest. To remain attuned to this gentle current is not a feat of willpower, but an act of devotion to presence. The practices that follow are not obligations. They are invitations to small, human gestures that open you to a more vivid, responsive reality. Begin with the breath. Each morning, before reaching for your phone or stepping into the day's demands, sit where you can feel the softness of morning light. Let your spine lengthen as though the sky itself is drawing you upward. Inhale slowly, noticing the quiet rhythm that has carried you through the night. As you exhale, release the weight of yesterday. This simple meditation of 5 minutes of listening to the rise and fall of breath becomes a bridge between your inner world and the subtle patterns weaving through the cosmos. You are not forcing the signal to appear. You are simply clearing the static so it can be heard. After the stillness, bring movement to your awareness. Step outside if you can, and walk without a destination. Let the ground meet your feet with a soft, patient rhythm. Notice the play of light on leaves, the unexpected dance of a breeze. The way a bird's call seems perfectly timed. This is not a walk for exercise or accomplishment. It is a moving meditation, a way of allowing the world to speak in symbols and whispers. Each sound, each flicker of color is an echo of the larger intelligence guiding you. Carry a small journal wherever you go throughout the day. When a curious coincidence catches your attention, a sudden thought is mirrored by a passing conversation. A number repeating across different places. Pause and write it down. Do not judge or explain. Simply record. Over time, these notes become a map of subtle connections, a living archive of the universe's conversation with you. Patterns emerge, showing you how the signal threads through even the most ordinary moments. The act of writing itself sharpens your sensitivity, reminding you that synchronicities are not accidents, but invitations. As the sun begins its slow descent, set aside a moment for intention. Light a candle, or simply close your eyes and speak softly to the evening. A single thought, a hope, or a question you wish the signal to answer. Do not demand clarity. Offer curiosity. The ripples extend beyond sight, carrying your energy into the fabric of what will be. When you open your eyes, trust that the universe has already begun its quiet reply. Throughout the day, weave mindfulness into ordinary actions. When you sip water, notice its cool clarity. When you wash your hands, feel the texture of the water sliding across your skin. These small acts are more than moments of pause. They are doorways. The signal does not arrive only in grand revelations. It lives in the hum of everyday life. By honoring these tiny rituals, you teach your senses to stay awake to its presence. Technology need not be the enemy of presence, but it requires boundaries. Choose a time each evening to gently set aside screens. Give your mind a quiet landing place where the noise of constant updates fades. In that hush, the subtle guidance of the signal can surface. You may feel an idea drift in like a soft tide, or notice a memory rising with unexpected clarity. This is the universe whispering through the spaces you have made. Before sleep, return once more to the breath. Lie down and let your body sink into the bed's gentle support. Inhale, as if drawing in the day's scattered threads. Exhale, as if weaving them into a single luminous pattern. Allow gratitude to settle in your chest. A gratitude not only for what you understand, but for the mysteries that remain. The signal thrives in this state of quiet appreciation, aligning possibilities beyond your conscious reach. These practices are not about perfection. Some days you may forget, rushing through The hours with barely a pause. That too is part of the rhythm. Each time you return to the breath, to the journal, to the soft noticing of the world, you tune yourself again. Over time, these small rituals create a steady resonance, a kind of inner music that draws synchronicities like moths to light. And as these gentle habits take root, you will find that the signal no longer feels distant or rare. It becomes a companion, quiet, patient, and unmistakably present. With these practices in place, you are ready for the next step, to explore the deeper meaning behind the synchronicities that are beginning to weave through your life. The deeper meaning of synchronicities. Life whispers through patterns that seem too precise to be chance. You might notice the same number sequence on a clock, hear a stranger echo the very phrase that lingered in your mind, or stumble upon a book that perfectly answers the question you've been quietly carrying. These moments, known as synchronicities, arrive like subtle winks from the universe. They are not accidents. They are gentle signals that your inner world and the vast intelligence of existence are in conversation, drawing you into a deeper understanding of yourself. Think of these coincidences as the universe's way of holding up a mirror. Each one reflects the movement of your own evolution, revealing the hidden harmony between your thoughts, your growth, and the larger flow of life. When you pause to notice these patterns, you are witnessing the bridge between the visible and the unseen, a dance of meaning that transcends ordinary logic, rather than proof of some grand plan written in stone. Synchronicities are living reminders that you and the universe are co-creating reality in each moment. It can be tempting to chase these signs with rigid interpretations, as if every repeated number or unexpected encounter must carry a singular, urgent message. But the deeper meaning of synchronicities is not about decoding a secret code. It is about cultivating gentle curiosity. When you approach these events with openness, you allow them to guide you without becoming a prisoner of their symbolism. The message is not a fixed answer. It is an invitation to awareness, a nudge to notice how your inner state is shaping the outer world. Imagine your life as a vast ocean, each thought and feeling creating ripples on the surface. Synchronicities are like the reflections of moonlight on those rippled glimmers that reveal the beauty of your own movement. They remind you that what you carry within is never isolated. It is always in dialogue with the greater whole. When you see a pattern appear again and again, it may be less about what the pattern means and more about the fact that you are ready to see how connected everything truly is. These moments also invite trust, not the kind of trust that demands answers, but the quiet confidence that you are held within something larger than your immediate understanding. When you allow synchronicities to unfold without forcing meaning, you step into the flow of life as a participant rather than a controller. This trust eases the restless need to figure everything out and replaces it with a peaceful awareness that life itself is an intelligent companion. Consider how often synchronicities appear when you are on the edge of change. Perhaps you're deciding whether to move to a new city, start a new career, or open your heart to love again. In those times, a sudden sign of a song lyric that speaks to your question, a chance encounter with someone who offers the perfect advice, can feel like the universe gently affirming your direction. These experiences are not random encouragements. They are reflections of your own readiness to evolve at their core. Synchronicities show you that the boundary between your inner world and the outer universe is more fluid than you might imagine. Modern science speaks of quantum entanglement, where particles remain mysteriously connected across vast distances. Ancient wisdom speaks of the same truth in different languages. Everything is woven into a single field of consciousness. When you witness synchronicity, you are glimpsing that invisible web, the subtle threads of connection that link you to every star, every thought, every possibility. This understanding brings a profound shift. Instead of viewing synchronicities as mere good luck or random coincidence, you begin to sense that you are part of a living conversation. The universe is not speaking in words, but in patterns and timing. It is less about receiving a command and more about recognizing the rhythm of your own expansion. These patterns are the universe's way of saying, I am here with you. I see you growing. To engage with synchronicities is to step into a relationship of wonder. You are invited to listen, to notice, to let the mystery draw you closer to the present moment. Each time you catch sight of these hidden alignments, you awaken a little more to the truth that your life is not separate from the vast intelligence around you. You are a participant in a grand, unfolding story that is constantly revealing itself through signs, symbols, and unexpected connections. As you allow these moments to guide you, you begin to relax into the deeper truth. You are not simply an observer of the universe. You are an expression of it. Every thought, every choice, every breath is part of the same luminous fabric that sends synchronicities into your path. To recognize this is to step closer to the heart of spiritual awakening, becoming the signal. Close your eyes for a moment and notice the rhythm of your own breathing. The gentle rise and fall is not just a sign of life. It is life expressing itself through you. In the hush between each inhale and exhale, there is a subtle awareness, a presence that doesn't belong to the body alone. This presence is the same quiet intelligence that guides galaxies into motion and whispers through every leaf in the forest. Tonight, as you listen, allow yourself to feel that this presence is not something separate. It is not a distant force, waiting to be found. It is you. For so long, the mind has been trained to search. We look for signs, for signals, for proof that the universe is listening. We scan the skies for meaning. We examine the coincidences that weave through our days. But what if all along, the signal you were searching for has been the very consciousness doing the searching? The quantum field, the invisible ocean of possibility, doesn't just surround you. It flows through every cell, every thought, every heartbeat. You are not merely witnessing it. You are an expression of it, as natural as a star, in the night sky. Think of a drop of water in the vast ocean. From the surface, it seems like a tiny fragment, separate and small. Yet the drop is made of the very substance of the ocean. It cannot be divided from the whole. In the same way, the awareness that looks out through your eyes is the field itself, tasting its own infinite nature through the form you call me. The search for a signal has been the field's own way of remembering what it already is. This realization is not about grasping a concept or repeating a belief. It is more delicate than that, like noticing the silence that exists beneath every sound. Imagine a song. Each note is distinct, but without the quiet space between the notes, there would be no music. You are both the notes and the silence. Quantum signal is not just the music playing. It is the space that allows the melody to be heard. And that space is what you are. As you settle deeper into this awareness, notice how the boundaries between you and the world begin to soften. The sound of the wind, the distant hum of traffic, the beating of your own heart arise in the same boundless field of consciousness. There is no line where you end and the world begins. Every sensation is a wave in the same ocean of being. This isn't a metaphor to hold on to. It's a gentle truth you can feel if you simply allow it. You may wonder, if I am the signal, why does the world sometimes feel so chaotic? Why do I feel separate or small? Imagine sunlight filtered through a stained glass window. The light itself is pure and whole, yet it appears in many colors and shapes. Consciousness shines through the forms of life in the same way. The illusion of separation, the experience of being a single fragment, is simply the play of that light. The signal has never been lost. It has only been exploring itself in countless patterns right now. Feel the subtle vibration of being, the quiet hum that exists even before thought. That is the quantum signal, alive as your own awareness. No effort is needed to sustain it. You do not have to become worthy of it or chase after it. It is as natural as breathing, as intimate as the pulse in your veins. Every moment of noticing is the signal recognizing itself. Allow this recognition to bring a deep peace. When you understand that you are not a separate observer, but the very field of consciousness itself, the need to control or force life begins to dissolve. You realize that everything, your joys, your challenges, the unfolding of your path, is the signal's own dance. There's nothing outside of it, and there is nothing you need to add to it. Consider how this understanding transforms your everyday life. The stranger's smile, the sparkle of morning light on a puddle, the quiet moments before sleep, all become expressions of the same infinite presence. When you speak to another person, it is the signal meeting itself in a different form. When you pause to appreciate beauty, it is the field savoring its own reflection. Every experience becomes a gentle reminder. There is only the signal, playing in endless shapes and stories. In this awareness, gratitude naturally blooms. Not because you must be grateful, but because you see clearly that life itself is a gift of its own essence. The air you breathe, the thoughts that arise, the love you share, each is a wave of one vast consciousness. And as you rest in this knowing, you begin to sense that the search is over. The journey you thought would lead you outward has always been guiding you home. This quiet awe is the heart of awakening. The realization that you have never been apart from the signal. You have always been the signal, listening to the sound of your own being. As you drift toward the final reflection of this journey, let this truth settle deep within you. There is nothing to chase, nothing to prove. There is only the wonder of being itself, your true nature, timeless and whole, living in the flow of quantum synchronicity. Imagine waking each morning with a quiet certainty that life itself is conspiring in your favor. The sun feels like it rises just for you, and the rhythm of the world seems to move in step with your own heartbeat. This isn't wishful thinking or a rare stroke of luck. It is the natural state of living in harmony with the quantum field. When you trust the unseen intelligence that connects all things, life ceases to be a series of random events. It becomes a carefully woven tapestry of meaning, each thread revealing itself at exactly the right moment, living in the flow of quantum. Synchronicity begins with a subtle shift in awareness. It is the art of recognizing that every encounter, every idea, every so-called coincidence carries a quiet message. Like noticing the first whisper of a breeze before the storm arrives. You start to feel the subtle signals of the universe guiding your path. Perhaps you think of an old friend just before they call. Or you find the perfect book that answers a question you hadn't yet put into words. These are not accidents. They are the universe leaning closer, inviting you to dance, to dwell in this state. You release the need to control every outcome. Control belongs to the mind that fears uncertainty, but the quantum field thrives in openness and possibility. When you loosen your grip, you create space for surprises that are far more exquisite than anything you could have planned. It is as though you are floating down a gentle river. The water to carry you, trusting that it knows the way. This trust does not mean passivity. It is a dynamic partnership with a field of infinite potential. Your thoughts, feelings, and intentions act as signals, broadcasting into the vast matrix of energy. The universe listens and responds, but the response is rarely linear. It emerges through symbols, chance, meetings, and sudden insights. Your role is not to force the outcome, but to remain alert and receptive. Like a musician listening for the next note in an improvisation. Over time, synchronicities become the language through which the universe speaks. The more you notice them, the more they multiply. A stranger's remark mirrors the very question lingering in your heart. An opportunity arrives just as you gather the courage to leap. Even the timing of obstacles carries a hidden rhythm, nudging you toward growth you might otherwise resist. Each experience is an echo of your own inner state, a reflection of the dialogue between you and the quantum field. Living this way also softens the edges of fear. When you sense the universe as a living, responsive partner, uncertainty loses its sting. Challenges no longer feel like random misfortune, but like carefully chosen lessons. You begin to trust that even detours carry you toward something essential. Love and creativity flow more easily because you are no longer driven by the frantic need to control or predict. Instead, you are carried by an invisible current of grace. In this space, intuition becomes a natural compass. It speaks through quiet hunches and sudden clarity. You might wake with the solution to a problem that troubled you for weeks, or feel drawn to a place where a life-changing encounter awaits. Intuition is the subtle bridge between your human senses and the vast intelligence of the quantum field. When you honor it, you discover that guidance is always near, sometimes in a whisper, sometimes in a roar. To live in the flow of quantum synchronicity is also to embrace wonder. It is to move through the world with the eyes of a child, marveling at the hidden patterns that reveal themselves in perfect timing. Every sunrise, every meeting, every twist of fate becomes a gentle reminder that you are part of something far greater than yourself. This wonder nourishes a deep sense of belonging, not only to the universe, but to the unfolding story of life itself. And as you embody these teachings, transformation ceases to be a temporary high. It becomes a steady flame. Your life itself becomes a meditation, each breath a quiet conversation with the infinite, each step an act of co-creation. The external world continues to shift and surprise, but within you there is a growing stillness, a trust that everything is unfolding as it should. As this journey draws to a close, carry with you the awareness that synchronicity is not a fleeting miracle, but your natural way of being. The quantum field is always here, ready to meet you in the present moment, ready to weave your intentions into the fabric of reality. All that is required is your openness, your curiosity, and your willingness to listen. So, as we gently transition into the final reflection, let the sense of wonder remain. Feel the quiet thrill of possibility, knowing that the dance of the quantum continues beyond this moment. Life is still speaking, always, and in ways more mysterious and beautiful than you have yet imagined.